Hey, are you not getting expected results on your Amazon PPC campaign? Well, you could be making these 7 mistakes on your Amazon PPC. So let's dive right in. I'm Rick Wong, an Amazon seller and also the founder of SellerMetrics, an Amazon PPC agency. So if you like content such as this, where we geek out on anything Amazon related, I would like you to subscribe to this channel. Okay, so let's just go right in. Amazon PPC mistake number 1, and that is not naming your campaign structured properly. Basically, your naming is not in a very structured way. So this is probably the number 1 mistake that I see after doing hundreds of Amazon PPC audit. What I mean is like finding campaign name that is random and names where I do not know what the product that the campaign is advertising, what is the advertising type, and what is the strategy of the campaign. Basically, the result of this disorganization is that it would cause paralysis because you cannot attribute the campaign by strategies, by advertising types, and also the product type. So you do not know what campaign that you're missing out on and what campaign to create without always a consistent deep dive, which takes a lot of time. So I kind of have an example of like what a good and also bad campaign structure. So my first example right here is a bad campaign structure. So you can see right here that kind of don't really understand, what these particular campaigns are advertising. The name is not that obvious. So obviously, the advertising type, but everything else is basically missing, right? You basically the name here is just basically the default of like the campaign name when you actually create a new campaign. It doesn't really tell you the specific ASINs that it's advertising for. It doesn't tell you the targeting type. So yeah, it's lacking a lot of information in the campaign name. On the other hand, a good campaign structure, as you can see here, right? You could tell that the product, the actual ASIN that's advertising for, the targeting type, and also the advertising type, right? So a good campaign structure, on the other hand, allows me as an Amazon PPC manager and also the sellers to take a very quick inventory on what is missing, right? And also prevent you from like creating duplicate campaigns. So I'm sorting this through, right? So I could easily sort this through and say, oh, okay, I think we have a complete set of sponsored display campaign. We have a contextual campaign. We have an audience campaign. We have a sponsored brand campaign. We might not have a sponsored brand video campaign. So I could easily just look into this, like see what's missing. I can see like sponsored product, there's an auto, there's like a keyword and PAT. So maybe it's missing a category type campaign. So I could just quickly look into see what's missing and basically attribute like what particular campaign type is say performing at a certain ROI. So by just basically like filtering out and just looking at the performance metrics on the right. And also, if you like duplicate your campaigns, I wouldn't say it's like a big mistake, but it just takes time and effort to upkeep, right? Basically, as you scale, you'll spend a lot of time just organizing and basically look into your existing campaigns and see what's missing. And basically, if you have to click into a campaign to actually find out a detail about them, basically you're wasting a lot of time. Now, that begs the question, what actually need to go into a proper naming convention for an Amazon PPC campaign? How do I structure it properly? So let's go to our Miro board right here. So to break it down, what needs to be included in Amazon PPC campaign name is number 1 is the marketplace. So marketplace, I think a lot of PPC experts don't really add the marketplace to the naming convention. But if you actually do name your campaign properly, if you sell across different marketplaces, you could run into a situation where your name actually looks the same across all the different marketplaces. So to prevent this, you want to put your marketplace on top. Basically, if I say selling in the Amazon US, I'll just put US as my prefix. CA if it's Canada, UK if it's a UK. Right. The next is the product name, basically a brief 2 to 3 word description of the product that you're selling. So basically, this is in situations where there could be like a multiple ASIN, right, on like just a product, then basically you put your product name, not the ASIN. If your product has different variation but still under the same product name, then that would be the name that you're using. So how I would structure the product name is to make sure that all the products under the product name is basically using the same subset of keywords for their advertising. So let's just say if they're trying to advertise for, say, black and white shoes, the subset of keywords that you're advertising for would be more or less the same. So they would normally group together under a product name. The campaign type, so that would be, sponsored product, sponsored display, sponsored brand. So those are the 3 ad types. Targeting type, so that is like a level lower than the campaign type. So that would be the auto, manual, or audience and contextual for a sponsored display. Advertise ASIN, so it could be the actual child ASIN or the parent ASIN. So basically, as the actual name describes, basically the ASIN that you're advertising for. Lastly, and very optional, and that would be the strategy. So strategy would be growth, relevant keywords, high intent keywords, etc. So this is highly optional. If you don't have like a particular strategy in your campaign, you could just like not add anything at the end. So that's basically the naming convention that we use in SellerMetrics. Again, you could actually play with and kind of create your own naming convention based on your particular criteria, particular strategies, particular way of managing things. But that gives you a good idea of like how we as an agency is able to scale up and basically be highly organized when we are managing like thousands of campaigns, right? This is our basically go-to naming convention that covers a lot of variables, campaign type, targeting type, product, marketplace, etc. Okay, now let's get to our second Amazon PPC mistake, and that is to bid on too many and also on too few keywords on the ad group. So on Amazon PPC ad group, you're allowed to bid on 1,000 keywords in a given ad group, but the question is, should you be maximizing this 1,000? And the short answer is no. But at the same time, you don't want to bid on too few as well, right? Because if you're bidding on, say, 5 keywords or fewer, there's a big chance that you're leaving money out on the table and you're not scaling out as much. You're not using Amazon as efficiently as, number one, as a way for you to make sales, and number two, for you to gather additional data. So you definitely want to bid on more than 5 keywords. I think like the minimum amount of keywords that you should bid for, right, depending on the relevancy of keyword, is 30 keywords. But in terms of maximum number of keywords, you should not be bidding on more than 100 keywords. If you actually bid on 1,000 keywords, right, you'll run to a different situation, that what I call a whack-a-mole situation. What is the whack-a-mole? So let's just say, in an example campaign, right, you're setting like 200,000 budgets, and this ad group within the campaign has 1,000 keywords at like say a dollar bid for each keyword. So logically speaking, right, of course it's not going to be exact, but the chances are at most you'll probably get like impressions for only like that 200 like keywords, right? The first 200, whatever Amazon deemed the 200 target keywords to be most relevant for your product. So Amazon will make the choice of that matter. And also your bid would be another variable. So you only have enough budgets on any given day to kind of optimize your 200 of like a 1,000 keywords. So you probably should not expect impressions for the 800 of the 1,000 keywords. You should not be getting any impression. So let's just say it takes 30 days to completely optimize the first set of 200 keywords, right? So when you're optimized, you're probably lowering bids. And when you're lowering the bids, the other bids that are not optimized are probably higher than your optimized bid. So guess what, where Amazon would allocate the budget? It'll allocate in the keywords that they could actually make more money on. That would be the optimized keywords right here. So instead of like going your existing budget, going through, to the existing 200 optimized keyword, some of the budget might go to the unoptimized 800 keywords, right? And again, since you only have like $200 a day to play with, there's not enough budget for impression for the whole 1,000 set of keywords. So you'll go into month 2 and optimizing the next set of unoptimized keyword 200 keywords, right? And then you'll just go through the cycle, right, for a good 6 months before everything is optimized. So that would be like just too long. So you probably won't get through at this budget, $200 a day at 1,000 keywords in the ad group with a bit of $1 each. You probably won't get through like optimizing everything and get strong impressions for everything until in like 6 months time, right? I mean, it takes you 6 months to optimize for a campaign. That is just like way too long, right? And you want to minimize the keywords to 100. So as a well-informed Amazon PPC practitioner, you will limit your keywords to 100 only, right? And making sure that this set of keywords is properly optimized within a reasonable time frame. That would be around like 2 to 3 months. Okay, so I'm gonna go over Amazon PPC mistake number 3, which is not monitoring your period-over-period performance. And with the Amazon selling, everything is like really fluid, right? If your competitor stays number 1, since it's so competitive, there's chance that other competitors will push for that particular slot in number 1. So everything is like really, really fluid. I think that's why Amazon is not a set and forget, because there's always going to be a competition that will try to go after you. And Amazon PPC is the same mindset and also the same competitive environment, right? So you got to really monitor your metrics to make sure that nothing gets out of hand and that you kind of understand your market. So because of the heavy competition, I think it's important to track the cost per click in your Amazon PPC across periods and also on a week-to-week basis, because it gives you the market price for the winning keyword placement, and you can see the cost per click trend and give you an idea what is the keyword's market competitiveness, and decide whether like a keyword at a certain point is no longer profitable or still profitable, right? So if you can see like the cost per click trend rising, you could tell like that keyword is, the marketplace is getting more and more competitive and saturated. And in the same time, a lower trend, and if your actual sales is keeping up, it could be your product is more and more optimized. So basically, trends of cost per click and ACoS and different metrics, right? How they compare to each other could tell you a story of how your product is doing on Amazon, right? Give you like a kind of like a forecast, like a heads up into what to expect. Is the cost for your Amazon going to go up? Is your cost on Amazon in terms of PPC going to go down? And other metrics to monitor are basically PPC orders as well. Very important for Amazon PPC practitioners to monitor. It allows you to ask a key question of how many orders has been generated on a specific keyword versus in the past. So if you can see how we do in SellerMetrics, we actually we do a very comprehensive monitor in terms of the specific keyword performance. So you can see like here, some of like our keyword target, you see like the delta from one period over the other, right? And then if there's like a huge delta in terms of orders, we kind of perform actions, right? Whether it's like has the market move against us, or is there a way for us to kind of upbid and increase our keyword bid competitiveness by increasing the bid. If it's like generating less sales, it could be that you've over optimized for a particular period, and your competitors has moved against you a bit higher for a certain keyword placement. So that, when the situation calls for it, you're able to diagnose the problem and react. Because the worst thing that you can do is not even not react, is not even know what is happening and why certain like sales are decreasing on like a period over period basis, right? I think it's one thing to perform the actions, but the most important thing is to have the monitoring system in place to fully understand what's going on. And that's what we do really well at SellerMetrics. That is like what our proprietary software is able to perform for us on like a daily basis. So to do well in Amazon PPC is really actually not what you do, it's basically when you do it. So that is what really separates the professional from the novices, like that, having that constant monitoring mindset. Amazon PPC mistake number 4, not using the cost per click in your bid adjustments. So the next one right here would be a little bit controversial, because using a cost per click as a baseline instead of bid, because there is a lot of practitioners out there, well-known Amazon PPC gurus and experts, that recommend using as a bid as a baseline. But at the same time, I haven't actually seen any justification for it. So why do we need to use cost per click in our bid adjustments? So quite simply, so let's just go to my Miro board right here. Let's just go over this. Quite simply, the cost per click is the price of getting a click on your ad for that keyword. If your bid, right, let's just say the bid that for a particular keyword is far below that of the recent cost per click, then the chances are you are going to be underbidding the market, affecting your impressions and indirectly your sales, right? Thus, if you use your cost per click as a baseline for your bid adjustment, at the very least, you'll be somewhat around the mark of what the competitive level of the bid should be, right? So making your bid adjustment based on cost per click would reflect the market price of that placement much more than your current bid. So if you actually look into this scenario right here, right, to get to the target ACoS of 25% that you see here, from the current ACoS of 50%, this is a very simplified type of scenario, right? I think like not all scenarios going to be like this, but just trying to make my point. So if you actually look into this particular target and also the current ACoS, you need to like bring your ACoS down 50%. So let's just say your cost per click is currently 50%. So in theory, if you actually lower your cost per click by a certain percentage, then your ACoS would also go down with it. So in this case, you need to get your target or ACoS down 50%. Then in theory, you need to get your cost per click down 50%. And the logic is to bid things down 50%. But let's just say you bid 50% lower from $1, which is the bid. At that point, you would decrease it by 50% from $1, and your bid was 50%. Guess what? Your cost per click is still 50 cents. So it's still not going to lower your cost per click and in turn ACoS, because your bid is like 50, right? So you're still like around 50 cents in terms of cost per click. You're trying to lower cost per click to like 25 cents. So what you need to do, right? You should be lowering your cost per click by 50%. So your bid should be, instead of $1, it should be 25 cents. So having said all this, right, the proper effective bid formula, if you actually go in, zoom in and actually look into the yellow part right here, is that your new bid should be your target ACoS divided by your current ACoS. So that would be this. So that would be 25 divided by 50 times your cost per click, which in my scenario would be 50 cents. Right, and that would be your new bid. So if I actually work that out, 25 cents, and the ACoS and cost per click, you should be using at least a 30-day look back period to make sure that you even out all the different performance fluctuation. So yeah, so that's basically how you should be making your bid adjustments, using your cost per click as your baseline. Okay, Amazon PPC mistake number 5. Okay, selecting the wrong look back period. So I kind of touched on that in the previous mistake. Let's just go through it in more detail, right? In the perfect Amazon PP scenario, a buyer would click on an ad, make an order right away, and the orders from that click will get attributed to that click right away on Amazon PPC. But unfortunately, the scenario that I described doesn't really happen all the time, right? It's maybe happens around 60% of the cases. So the next 40%, unfortunately, there are situations where the clicks and the sales are not attributed right away. So why does this happen? Why is there a lag? So there's 3 main reasons, right? The customer did not purchase the product right away. Basically, it clicks on the ad and then maybe it waits a day or so to to make the actual final purchase. Number 2, the order was returned by a customer. So Amazon has a 30-day return policy. So once the product is returned, the metrics changes. And basically, Amazon advertising, their service level agreement is that they need at least 72 hours, basically 3 days, for the sales to properly attribute to a click. But in my experience, that could actually be much longer than that. It could be 7 to 14 days. I've seen up to 14 days. So it's actually very tricky a lot of times to me as an Amazon software provider to actually get the accurate data, basically perfect matching data between what I have in my software and also in your ad console. That is the challenge that I'm seeing as an Amazon software provider. And let's get on the topic of selecting the right date range. So for us to basically smoothing out the data from any of 3 above scenario and make sure the data has a high degree of statistical significance, the best time frame to use, and a lot of people use, is around a 30-day date range that is adjusted for at least a 3 days attribution lag. So for example, if today is December 12th, 2023, the date that we should use using the 30-day attribution window, right, the 30-day date range, should be that the first date should be November 9th, and the last date in that range is December 9th, 2023. And that should be the right range for your Amazon PPC analysis. Amazon PPC mistake number 6, not optimizing your product listing. So you also need to make sure that your listing is highly optimized. Basically, the invisible metrics on Amazon PPC is relevancy. And in turn, that has a direct influence on your conversion rates. Basically, you need to make sure your listing is straddle aligned between having a complete set of keywords and also make sure that your listing, right, your title bullets, all make sense in terms of the customer rating it, right? Because you are not only trying to convince Amazon algorithm to show your product via having the right SEO keywords, but also you want to convince the buyer who is reading your listing to purchase your product. So you need to write for these 2 types of audiences, the actual SEO and also the actual buyer itself. So let me show you an example of a well-optimized listing. So first of all, I would like to dive right into the images. Having a good product image is known to disproportionately affect conversion rates. So having a proper product image is the #1 priority for Amazon sellers. If you can see this example here, this is a really good product image. It fills out all the white space. You know exactly within 1 or 2 seconds of what they're selling. It's very important because the attention span of Amazon sellers is very low. And then you can see that they do have a video here that really details what the brand is about and also what the product they're selling. And video is well known to really push and increase the conversion rate of your product. So it's important to like not only have the product portfolio totally optimized, but also have a very nice video as well to kind of further enforce what you're selling. So having like an optimized listing is basically the first step in your feedback loop that can generate higher conversion rate and in fact affect your Amazon PPC by lowering your cost per click and also in turn lower your ACoS. And I also written like a very detailed article of how you could like optimize your Amazon listing, and I will paste that article on the link below. Okay, final Amazon PPC mistake. So that would be the 7th one, and that is not having enough profit margin to run a good Amazon PPC campaign, right? This situation occurs a lot of times when sellers selling in a niche that is really highly competitive and the average order value of the product is less than $15. Think cell phone cases. That would be the niche that you could run into this potential mistake. So in a competitive niche, the cost per click to price ratio would be really high. Therefore, achieving a reasonable ACoS will not be possible. So to illustrate that point, I will go into my Miro board as well. So in my example, let's just like a product A, right? The retail price of product A is $10. Conversion rate is $20. Cost per click is $1.50, right? So if you actually further do the math, right, you kind of need 5 clicks to generate one sale. So 5 times cost per click, which is $1.50, would be $7.50. So on Amazon PPC, if you kind of come up with these metrics, which is pretty decent by the way in terms of conversion rate and CPC looks like not unreasonable, then the cost per acquisition would be $7.50. So if you actually divide $7.50 to $10, the price of your product, you get an ACoS, a baseline ACoS of 75%. So even in like a decent scenario, right, your ACoS, even that, your ACoS would be 75 cents. So you're saying like 75 cents, even though we strongly optimize to like say 65 cents or, so I mean 65% or 55%, that's still like a really, really high ACoS. So with this poor, fundamentals for this product, it's really unrealistic for the actual seller to get a really good ACoS. And that just will basically set the seller up for disappointment. So it is very important for sellers to reevaluate a product with high cost per click to price ratio before proceeding with their Amazon PPC campaign. And how would you research for your potential cost per click as an Amazon seller before actually selling and also running the advertising campaign? Quite simply, you could just click through the creation of an Amazon PPC campaign. For example, here, you could just create a campaign, click all the way down, select your product, go to manual, and then it'll give you a suggested list of keywords, right? And then you add all of them up. Here, you could kind of get like a baseline of what the cost per click for advertising is. So I would say this would be a range from $1 to $1.25 as your potential like cost per click for this advertising campaign. And basically, this is a very good way for you to kind of do like a forecast on like what's your potential cost per click before actually selling. And you could actually estimate whether, you could use your potential cost per click to evaluate whether your ACoS is reasonable given a certain conversion rate. Okay, so that is our 7 Amazon PPC mistake, avoiding all 7. And I promise you your Amazon advertising campaign will see material improvement in a short period of time. So to summarize what we just discussed, Amazon PPC mistake number 1, not naming your campaign in a structured way. Amazon PPC mistake number 2, bidding on too few or too many keywords. The name of the game is keeping your keywords to 100 keywords on any ad group and on any particular time. Amazon PPC mistake number 3, not monitoring your peer-over-peer performance, and a highlighted cost per click and also PPC orders is a very important metrics to monitor. PPC mistake number 4, not using cost per click in your bid adjustments. Amazon PPC mistake number 5, not using the right lookback period. So that would be 30 days minus 3 days for the attribution lag. Amazon PPC mistake number 6, not optimizing your product listing. As I mentioned, the main product image photo and also videos are very important for your conversion rates. Amazon PPC mistake number 7, not having enough profit margins to run an efficient and profitable Amazon PPC campaign. Okay, so I hope you took away some nuggets for you to like improve your Amazon PPC right away. And if you're an Amazon seller and looking to grow your business via Amazon PPC, please schedule a discovery call with me on the link below. And until the next video drop, which I hope you subscribe for, happy selling.